Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I wanted to highlight a quick recent development from the Israeli Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, who visited the Gaza Strip very briefly yesterday during the ceasefire hours. He basically said in front of his soldiers yesterday that they will not leave Gaza until all of the hostages are back. Why is this new? Well, because it's the first time that Israel officially says or puts the option of leaving Gaza after it gets its hostages. Remember, from the days after the attack leading to very recently, the tone was that we're going to a war that can take place for many months and many years, and we will not leave up until we completely demolish the Hamas. We are going to rescue the hostages through fighting, and we are going to find them in the tunnels. There have been many talks about elite forces from the United States joining them, and now that they obviously agreed to negotiate and agreed to the terms of the Palestinians, they started negotiating and releasing hostages step by step. What does this mean? It means that obviously, firstly, they are planning definitely to leave Gaza. That's number one. Number two, they are admitting that their campaign has failed. He faced a lot of backlash after he stated that. Many people commented on this report that, why did we start it anyway? I thought we were going to be there to demolish them. I thought we were going to stay up until the end, and we need to go on with full force. You and your government need to be fired, etc., alongside other comments. Why is he saying this now? They have been facing increased pressure. Not only, number one, the absolutely unbelievable persistence of the Palestinian people, all of them in Gaza, unbelievable resilience, unbelievable spirit these people have in resisting this war and not fleeing their homes. It's really, it cannot be described by words. Their level of faith, strength, and resilience in facing one of the most hideous, barbaric acts of state terror we have seen in decades. In decades. Some people even say that it's historically unheard of. 6,000 children being slaughtered, ripped apart in under 40 days. 70% of the 13 or 14,000 Palestinian people killed so far are women and children. 5,000 to 6,000 are still missing. So the official number would potentially reach 20,000 people. A senior UN member said that this is the same scale of the earthquake that hit Turkey and Syria previously. It's unheard of. Yet these people had the option to flee to even some safer areas in the Gaza Strip, although nowhere was safe, but they remained there and they resisted this, and they continued, and they knew exactly what Israel was preparing for them, which is ethnic cleansing. So this, number one. Then you had the other countries and movements that attacked Israel, from Lebanon, from Iraq, and from Yemen, which leads me to the second point that I wanted to talk about. Yemen just hijacked 2 more additional Israeli ships yesterday. What does this mean? This means that they're not bound by the ceasefire. So Hezbollah, who was attacking Israel from the north and joined the campaign on the 7th, after the 7th of October, on the 8th of October, they said that even though we weren't part of the negotiations with the Palestinians in Gaza, we will respect any ceasefire agreement the Palestinians reach with Israel, so long as Israel stops its attacks. And indeed, the border with Lebanon was very quiet. We haven't seen any attacks in the last few days. since the ceasefire was announced, and they have been quiet. But the Yemenis haven't been quiet. Why are they not quiet? Well, if you recall correctly, when the military spokesman Yahya Sari officially announced that they are attacking Israel following its aggression on Gaza, following its genocide on Gaza, he said that they will not stop the attacks on Israel until the war stops. So they're following what they said to a T. The war hasn't stopped. This is a very temporary ceasefire, a hudna, a short ceasefire. And from their perspective, the war hasn't stopped. So that's why they are not bound by it, and they're continuing to attack Israel. That's number one. Number two, I think they're using it, and Iran obviously as the country who supports Yemen, as an additional tool to pressurize American forces and the American administration in the region. Since the war started, many American bases have been hit in Iraq and in Syria, very important bases. They haven't had any chance to retaliate in a very clear manner. They only retaliated once, I think, when America admitted that 8 of its soldiers were wounded due to these attacks. But apart from that, they haven't had the chance to retaliate. They only used anti-missile systems to intercept the missiles and the UAVs against their bases. The Yemeni acts in that region, in the Red Sea, is very crucial, not only for Israel, but also for its allies. It's a message to everyone supporting Israel. Now, although they previously stated that we will only target and hijack ships that deal with Israel or are under Israeli ownership, whether direct or indirect, which is what they have done so far. They haven't affected any of the other ships going to other countries. This sends a clear message to America and to other countries supporting Israel that, hello, we're here, and what has been done to these ships can be done to you, even in a more aggressive manner. Because when they hijacked these ships, they took their helicopters, they went down and armed and whatever, but there were no casualties. They didn't kill anyone, they didn't shoot anyone. They simply told them, you take the ship to our coast and you're under our authority until further notice, basically. But they do have weapons that can take down ships. So if a ship is carrying weapons, for example, or whatever it is, to Israel or any of its supporting countries, mainly the United States, they're telling them that we have an option to take them down as well and not just hijack them. So the fact that they're continuing this, in my perspective, is because of the continuation of the American support to Israel, even when it's not, highlighted in the media or whatever it is, because it's still there. They're still supporting Israel unconditionally. Yes, they are putting a little bit more pressure on them to, stop the war, tone it down. I mean, the ceasefire agreement was brokered by 4 countries. It was Qatar, Egypt, 3 countries mainly. Qatar, Egypt, and the United States. So the United States took part in reaching this ceasefire, using its pressure on Israel, but saying that the support for Israel hasn't stopped. They're still saying that they, have the right to defend themselves. They want to demolish Hamas, and they're even talking about potential different governments or sending international forces to Gaza, something which Hamas said that's not going to happen. We're going to control Gaza. Gaza is run by its people. We won't accept any authority coming on Israeli tanks, and we will not accept any foreign forces in Gaza. And from the tone that Israeli leaders are taking so far, it looks like this is the stage that it will reach after the ceasefire either extends or we reach to a complete halt and end of the war.